So we are here for day 4 of the Path to Presence retreat. We just take the first minute to settle in, make sure everything's working, make sure everyone gets here. And then today's a very exciting day, Presence retreat, in the Path to Presence retreat, because I also do my big giveaway today. And I can tell you that let me speaker. It's hard. It's hard for me to choose the giveaway, which is why I delegated to a computer program to choose from the randomized names, because I so appreciate everyone who's been showing up, and it's great. I have like a list, solid 8 names to pull from, and we'll get into that. I'll keep it suspenseful for a minute now. So today on day 4, we're going to be looking at the question of who is walking this path. And previously, in the other 6 or so times that I've run this retreat, I actually had the question of who as a topic we covered in the bonus part. But as I've been teaching it, I realized that the question of who and the role of identity is actually really crucial, and I've brought it into the fold a little earlier into my main 5 days. So all the questions that we ask in the retreat, the why, when, where, who, and how, these are all questions that you can ask at any point that you need to assess and reassess your meditation practice and how it's fitting in with your life and your needs currently. So please hold that in mind, that this is meant to be a strategy that can help your practice continue to grow with you. And we don't always think of our identity as shifting all that much, maybe especially as we get a little older, but it changes, doesn't it? And so today we're looking at who from a couple of different angles. We're looking at how it relates to your practice as a habit and the role of identity in maintaining your habit. We'll also explore the same question of identity and who as a topic of investigation, of meditation, because meditation is a really great way to get to know sometimes hidden or other parts of yourself. So plus in the middle there, we'll do the big full scholarship giveaway to my 6-week meditation program, Calm Mind, Clear Heart. So here's a quote I want to start with from David White. You may have seen it in my social media coming up to the retreat. The marvelous thing about a good question is that it shapes our identity as much by the asking as it does by the answering. When we're doing this exploration, when we're asking questions, when we're investigating, there's always this kind of give and take relationship with our sense of identity. So that's another reason why I really wanted to bring the question of who in a little earlier into the practice. And so I've got a couple of my books here. I'm going to start with James Clear from Atomic Habits, who talks about an identity-based habit. When you're building an identity-based habit, the habit grows from within. So in this case, it's really a question of thinking about who you want to become. Not necessarily outcome-based habit or a goal, but we want to think about the person that we wish to be. So a behavior that doesn't sync with beliefs about the self, about your identity, simply won't last. So in terms of maintaining the habit, right, the easy part in some ways is getting it going. And then it's the maintaining, having the practice stick, that can be quite challenging. So you want to, and James Clear gives 2 steps to doing this. The first one is you decide the type of person you want to be. It's obviously a reflection of your values, the life you want to lead, maybe your history as well. And then number 2, prove it with small wins. So for example, I want to be a calm, clear, caring person, or a caring partner, a parent, can be a role as well. So I have short meditation sessions that train me to be present and self-aware, less reactive, taking spacious pauses in my life when I need to. So you really want this desire for the qualities. I mean, you can almost, I haven't thought about it till right now, you could almost think of like the funeral analogy, like how you want to be remembered, what kind of person you would like to have been in the world. And James Clear also says the most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but who you wish to become. And that, in fact, in essence, is the homework question for today. To start thinking about the person you want to become, and then see how the meditation practice fits into that. Because it's true, if it's not in alignment with your beliefs about yourself or your sense of identity, then you're not going to keep showing up either. So there's a lot of components that help us to maintain the practice, help us to keep showing up. We want to be comfortable. We want there to be a sense of reward. We want there to be an ease logistically and practically with it fitting in. So who is another question. I'm going to pull from another book that I read recently in August, another great one called Switch, but written by this pair of brothers, Chip and Dan Heath. This book isn't completely about meditation. It can be about organizational change. It's called How to Change Things When Change is Hard. That's the subtitle. Now, in it, these brothers talk about a model for making choices and behaviors and habits and things like that actually comes from an earlier psychologist. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Jonathan Haidt, perhaps, Haidt, in something called the happiness hypothesis, talked about the elephant and the rider. And actually, if you've ever used an app called Noom, which is also popular for weight loss and making changes in your life, they go really big into this analogy all the way through. Their coursework is based on this idea of the elephant and the rider. So basically, these are aspects of ourselves, of our identity as well. The elephant is the emotional, instinctive side, and the rider is the rational side. And the rider provides direction and planning, and the elephant provides the energy for our actions and for the changes that we make. So the brothers talk about the fact that self-control is an exhaustible resource. And this book is loaded with tons of research studies and cases. And I didn't pull out any specific things, but they're all in there. It's an interesting read. And what looks like resistance to change is often a lack of clarity. And so the solution there is to direct the rider, to appeal to this more rational side. What looks like laziness in the face of shifting and changing is often exhaustion. We have to motivate the elephant, appeal to the more emotional side. What looks like a people problem, especially when you're dealing with like organizational change, but meditation habit, this is applicable too, is often a situation problem. And this is where we have to shape the path. So those are the three main strategies that they give in terms of making changes, which is really developing new habits and maintaining them, making some kind of change in your life, right? And again, even if you have a meditation practice, we're looking at, engaging with that practice and shaping it again. So direct the rider, motivate the elephant, shape the path. And within there are a couple of different strategies. I just want to list a few so you have a little more information here. And I'm looking over at Facebook for a moment. I'm seeing people writing in. I'm glad Holly's enjoying the book recommendations. I will make an effort to make it clear for you all these books at some point, maybe with a post. So within the subheading of directing the rider, some of those strategies include following the bright spots. This is like celebrating the wins. And sometimes this includes, from a meditation perspective, some of these foundational attitudes of mindfulness, like curiosity and beginner's mind. right? Not getting too jaded and celebrating the wins, even when we pause, as I've been sort of getting us to do with the meditation practice, pausing and noticing how you feel, right? And this also helps to combat the negativity bias in our brains, where we tend to remember what's bad. We actually want to make space for what's good here, follow the bright spots. The other couple of strategies under Direct the Rider is to script the critical moves. And this is what we're working towards, getting really clear and specific, getting all of those SMART goals, something called an implementation intention, which is what we're going to end up doing tomorrow, where you're making a commitment statement about the very clear steps that your habit are going to take and what it looks like right now. So really in the name of clarity. And then we want to point to the destination, show the rider where you're headed, and show the elephant why the journey is worthwhile. This is clearly the why, right? And when it comes to motivating the elephant, this can be finding the feeling. That's the first strategy, which could also be your why, or again, that feeling upon having practiced meditation. We want to kind of really notice these things. And the second one is to shrink the change, right? So it's not so overwhelming and exhaustion. And I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. That's about keeping it simple, starting where you're at, or I've already been talking about it, but the how. And the third one is grow your people. And this really includes the identity and the need for community, right? Which comes up again in shape the path. The strategies here are tweaking the environment, which is a lot of the where that we covered yesterday, building habits, which is kind of the whole retreat, but especially they talk about when and strategies for that. And then the third one is rally the herd. Behavior is contagious. One of the examples given was the success of seeding the tip jar. So this is a lot about community and how we tend to imitate the behavior of the group. And actually, that's a good segue to, well, really both James Clear and Giovanni, who talk about who we are and how it relates to our culture and determines what behaviors are attractive. So we tend to imitate the habits of 3 social groups: the close, family, friends, sort of local community; the many, the tribe, this larger sense of identity and belonging; and the powerful, those with status and prestige, influencers, celebrities, people you admire, artists and things like that, politicians maybe. So to build good habits, it helps to join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior, and you already have something in common with the group. That's why it's another reason why I make an attempt to make it interactive, and to kind of, even in, what is this, day 4? Even in 3 or 4 days, we start to get a little community by having people chime in, offer, pictures of your meditation spots, which, if you haven't looked at the homework threads in the Facebook group, it's so great to see everyone's answers, right? To have this sense of community. And another really great point from Giovanni Dengstman says that those in the community who haven't already achieved the goal, those in the community who have already achieved the goal show you it's possible. Those who have a meditation practice who stick can be something you can look toward. Those who haven't yet achieved it show you it's okay to fail temporarily, and the process takes time and you need to persevere. So I really love this idea, and I do think that community and context is so important. This is why we need community, and this is why I love to teach meditation in a group context. And I liked, in the spirit of interactiveness, I'll throw out a question to you here for those who are watching and listening. Have you been in a community where there's some meditation? And think about it. It might have been part of a yoga class, or it might have been a meditation class, or something else like that. Have you been in a community like that? What was that like for you? Do you have one now? Just throwing that out there. So this is why we use the Facebook group, so we can have a little more interaction. And this is why I encourage you to come to the bonus day, if you're able to, on Saturday morning at 8:30 a.m., same time. Even though I also don't really want to get up that early on a Saturday, I wanted to keep it consistent so that we can have, I can turn on the microphone and you can speak, or we can have more of a dialogue. And this is why in my 6-week program, we really make time for discussion and dialogue and interaction that way. So the 6-week program, in this retreat, I've given you everything you need to build the meditation practice that works for you. And there is still tomorrow, there's still a little more to give. And those of you, I see a lot of people, I just saw a quote or a comment this morning where someone mentioned being able to meditate 3 days in a row, and that it had been a really long time since they've been able to do that. So I'm so proud of you guys all for showing up and sitting with me and getting going. And this might be enough for you. This might be all you need to keep it going, remembering that you can return to these questions as you go. And for those of you who need a little extra support, and if you're really ready to commit, getting rid of all your excuses, we'll go into some of those excuses and objections in the last bonus next Monday. If you're ready to fast track your meditation practice, then I invite you to continue to work with me in the 6-week program. I'm only offering one scholarship spot. I kind of wish I could offer it to everyone, but I just can't offer everything for free. So I have been thinking about offering another kind of special discount though. So Calm Mind, Clear Heart is for new or experienced meditators alike. Anyone who's ready to commit to the practice, to the benefits from meditation, and to the person that you wish to become. So this is an opportunity to get to know yourself really well, which is what we'll be talking about in the second half today. Especially if you've been through any transformations, right? Any big life changes, having kids, career change, grief, loss, transforming experiences, menopause, retirement, all of these kinds of things. So if you want to feel that you're your own sense of calm and resiliency, so you don't get overwhelmed by the many different overwhelming conditions in the world, then a consistent meditation practice is extremely useful. And also carving out that me time, that self-care to feel replenished, rebalanced, to make the choices that help you become the person you want to be, leading the life you want to lead. Especially for anyone who has trouble creating self-care, all those caregivers and caring professionals. So, and tomorrow I'll be talking more about some of the resources and infrastructure that are out there, apps, technology, things like that to help you with your meditation practice. But in my program, it's a small group. We have that extra motivation and accountability. Maybe this is a good time for me to show you what it looks like. Let me tell you what's included. There's 6 weeks of live 1-hour calls where we usually do 1 or 2 meditations, and we have time for reflection and discussion. And that is really quite magical. And there is also an online course, which is why I thought I might. Okay, I want to share that. Okay, this is what the online course looks like. And this is sort of self-paced. You have this for 6 months. And in here's lots of information. There is a workbook that is a little over 30 pages. We dive deeper into daily mindfulness, informal meditation practice, mindful eating, things like that. We do walking meditation, eating meditation. We dive deeper into self-compassion. And in each of these sections here on the left, I'll have some content, and then the meditations will be there. And as you can see, they're all pretty short. I think nothing's longer than 20 minutes, the videos. We look at different techniques of meditation. Let's see, where am I? We look at insight vipassana. We look at some Tibetan compassion practices like Tonglen. And in the last section of the online course, we look at how to keep it sticking beyond the 6 weeks, right? How to do home retreats, how to practice when there is a lot of challenge. And this is what the workbook looks like. And like I said, it's around 30 pages or so. And in here, I have actually a section for logging. Let me get to it. So some contemplation, some journal prompts, and then a little area for you to write notes for your practice to keep showing up daily. All right, so we also have a one-on-one session as well. I do an individual session at some point in the 6 weeks to just help really personalize and tailor your meditation practice. So there's a ton of support. And yeah, that's pretty much how it's a little bit different. And actually what we cover in the retreat is part of week 1. So we kind of go over all the questions in week 1 of the 6-week program. And then we continue to go through those questions while adding in lots of new content. I'm going to pause here and come back to the Facebook group where I saw there were a couple of comments as well. And Jessica says that she's been part of a group or community in the church. And Christian meditation is what it is, but not particularly labeled as such. Yeah, I actually grew up Quaker myself, and which is a funny little Christian religion, but they sit in silence for their Quaker meeting. I don't go often to Quaker meeting, but it is always been like meditation for me too. And Holly mentioned taking a mindfulness class online helped remind her of the focus and to not forget it completely. Yeah, the accountability really helps. I actually had a patient in my acupuncture office yesterday. We were talking about exercise and that she's been so busy and she hasn't had a chance to exercise. And I kind of gave her my retreat questions and ways to tailor it and things like that, but for exercise. And we were talking about how she'll show up to an exercise class if she's with a friend, right? So that accountability is so huge. And Kate mentions through adult ed, and that it disbanded, but they still keep in touch. So, and thanks, Jessica, for your comment that the course looks well organized. I've been teaching it for a little while, so I've had a chance to improve it, change it throughout the time. And all right, so let me see, what else have I got to tell you? So you might notice, so I am going to offer a special discount. I'm going to skip ahead my notes to the special discount. The next time I run this retreat and this workshop twice a year, and I do it in the middle of fall and the middle of winter, I suppose. I found that in spring and summer, people just were less interested in sitting still and developing meditation practice. So I will offer the retreat again in the end of January or the beginning of February, usually. And then I'll offer the 6-week course a little bit after that as well. But next time I'm probably going to raise the price because I haven't done that in the last several years. So this is an opportunity to join while it's not as expensive as next time. And the last day of the retreat is going to be next Monday, October 24th, the very last bonus day. So until the end of that day, I wanted to offer, in the interest of accountability, which is so important, I wanted to say that anyone who signs up by the end of Monday, I will send a special coupon to you for someone else to join, whoever you want, at 50% off. Because I found that is more successful when you have that community, this, having someone, and this has happened in the past where people have attended together. And I think it's lovely that they have this ability to keep it on in their own lives. So it's a win-win situation. And then, the class will fill with people who are really interested in it. And maybe you might notice some part of you that's holding back about, obviously, if you get the scholarship, it's a green light, and I'm going to give that in a moment. Might feel like you have no time to devote to the class, to the course, but that's one of the reasons why I keep the videos short and let them be kind of do it yourself. You have 6 months to complete the online course. And if you feel like, I'm just going to throw out some of the objections. If you feel like I can't sit still, if this is still an issue for you with meditation, remember we're taking baby steps and also questioning, what do you do when you're watching TV or a movie or in transportation, like a car or train or plane? We all have the ability to sit still. And also we want to be aware of the stories and myths and limiting beliefs that can feel like excuses, like I'm not a meditator or I can't focus my mind. So through meditation, we get this opportunity to know ourselves and to see those stories and to change our identity into who we want to be a little bit. And yeah, that's pretty much my spiel on the program. Feel free to ask me questions if you have questions. And I want to announce the winner for the scholarship. Coming over and make sure I have all the names correct. Actually, it is Victoria VL Johnston, and those on Facebook might not be able to see, but Victoria is actually here live in Zoom land. And so congratulations to Victoria for winning the big scholarship. I'm so sorry for everyone else who I also wanted to share this with, but I hope some of you can join or ask me if you have questions. Also, I never want finances to stand completely in the way. So, reach out to me. It's a priceless opportunity, right? Thinking about the cost of peace of mind or the cost of all these changes. So yeah, I'm going to write in the Facebook here. And congrats to Victoria. Oh, sorry to do that while I'm doing this with you. There we go. And now a couple of words as we settle into meditation that looks at who in terms of the content of your meditation, exploring who is doing the asking, right? We have all these questions that we're asking to make a habit, to shape the habit, to maintain the habit of meditation practice. Who is doing the asking? This is a useful question. So I just mentioned before, and I thought I'd go into it, that this is an opportunity to reframe your labels on yourself. For example, I'm not a meditator is a limiting belief, this disclaimer that lets you off the hook for the ups and downs of the journey of having a consistent meditation practice. So are there any stories or beliefs or more sneaky myths that are obstacles for you in this path of maintaining a consistent meditation practice? Stories, we all have them, and they tend to be rooted in the past, and they tend to be, this is how you can know them. 1, they're rooted in the past. 2, they might be something that ruffles your feathers or gets under your skin in some off-putting way. So through meditation, through the practice, you can make space around the stories and see you are more than just the stories. So meditation is an opportunity to look at who you are. And who am I when I am just being, not doing? Who am I when I shine a light of awareness on everything that tends to go unnoticed, everything that happens under the radar or in the trance, different trances? Trance of unworthiness is a big one. Thoughts, attitudes, stories, feelings, and knowing that everything that arises also ceases. We ourselves are not impervious to the natural law of impermanence. Then what happens to who we are, right? We really get this opportunity to create all of this space into our sense of identity. So in the practice today, we're going to combine 2 things. One is non-striving, shifting from doing into being. Give yourself this spaciousness, this opportunity to open up. And then we're also going to do another sensory-based anchoring practice, a listening meditation, which is really one of my favorites. I have changed, as I mentioned, second half of the retreat, I've changed it all completely. And it seemed like there would be no space for the listening meditation, but I just love it so much that I had to put it in today. So what's happening when you're not doing anything in meditation, when you're just being? Here's a couple of things. Your body is more included in your general awareness than usual. There's that opportunity to get embodied, and your perspective tends to expand. Maybe you notice the monkey mind, but you notice the ephemeral and often random nature of thoughts and emotions. Again, that kind of impermanence. Maybe you remember what matters most to you. Maybe you encounter who you are or new parts of you that have nothing to do with doing. And maybe you notice that you're okay right now, despite so much going on in your life or in the world, that you're okay just in being, this opportunity to rest in the moment. All of these are just priceless things. Tiny few tips about being, non-striving, doing nothing. It's like gardening or resting. It requires some planning, some care and effort, but ultimately the body rests and plants grow while doing nothing. So there's a real power to that. And it's helpful to set an intention. Resting in awareness isn't taking a vacation. Intention is essential. We're relaxing in order to become more available to ourselves and to others, more present. Because when we actually give our bodies and minds the rest they need, that's when the energy and spaciousness and emotional resilience that we've been missing starts to come back online. So you might start by reminding yourself of that you're doing this nothing to be more awake, more alive, more available, more present. So let's go ahead and practice now. I'm pausing to make sure there are no other comments or questions I've missed. Yeah, we're good. So go ahead and come into a comfortable posture. I will relay Victoria's big yay in the Zoom over here. We're going to be doing this practice of being and listening. Now, listening is a great practice for so many reasons, because using sounds, becoming aware of your sound environment, also helps you to practice meditation in a busy or noisy area, maybe where there's construction going on. It's really combating that myth that you have to be calm or it has to be quiet in order for you to sit and practice, right? You can really do it anywhere. So just take a moment, find a comfortable posture, being kind to yourself as you settle in. Allow your attention to come fully into the present. Closing your eyes if that's available to you, or you can let your gaze be soft. Sit and know you're sitting. Notice the body and the breath and all that arises. Settling into your posture, feeling your feet on the ground, your pelvis in contact with the seat, the cushion. Feel the inhale stretching up the spine, bringing that sense of alertness, wakefulness, the light of awareness. Each exhale resting toward the earth, finding ease, starting to shift into simply being, letting your muscles that do so much, that are engaged in striving, let them start to soften and relax. Just open that space, creating that intention to begin to shift from doing into being, embodying some non-striving. Taoists call it Wu Wei, doing nothing. There's an invitation in this to come fully to the moment with kind acceptance, compassion for yourself. Just let yourself settle in, opening up a spaciousness. Allow things to arise and fall away. This impermanent nature of life. Let your attention rest lightly. It might flit around like a bird from perch to perch as you notice the breath, sensations in the body, the ground, touch points at your feet and legs and pelvis. As you open up a little more space, maybe you notice the stories, the thoughts in the mind. What is it like to create the space and turn towards them? There's even a great practice called thought hunting, looking for the beginning of thoughts. Just for a moment, making some space for this. Maybe you notice your doing mind state, the impulse and drive to get things done. As you notice whatever's arising, just softening, pausing without reacting, practicing resting in the moment. And then you want to place your attention in the opening of your ears. Turn your attention to the sounds around you, in the room, in the space you're in, the house, outside, beyond. Start to become aware of sound. Let the sounds come to you. Being receptive to the soundscape, letting the sound waves reach your ears. You're just receiving, listening, hearing moment to moment, sound to sound. Noticing sounds, natural and man-made, sounds of traffic or people, the sounds of the wind or birds, the leaves rustling, the sounds of appliances. Maybe even the absence of sound. You might just note silence. Notice sounds that are close or distant. We hear only the sounds of this moment, not the sounds of the past or the future. This present listening. Maybe you hear only the sounds of my voice. Notice the sounds arise all on their own. We don't have to do anything. Notice how the sounds change, shift, tones go up and down. Maybe they stay the same. Maybe they go away. Just keeping a sustained attention on the soundscape around you as it shifts and develops. This is the symphony of now. No two sounds are the same. No two moments are the same. As you rest in receiving sound, notice if maybe there's a story. Trying not to judge the sound as good or bad, not getting caught up in the content of the sound. First, there's only sound itself and the liking or disliking of it. Sounds we might usually think of as noise or distractions. My nemesis is the leaf blower. Let them be opportunities for mindfulness and returning your attention to the present. Just like the monkey mind is always chattering away, these conditioned reactions, these stories might come up for you. When you notice that, just softening, pausing without judgment, creating some space, letting it go, returning to simply being, and then letting the sounds come to you. Just tuning in, letting all these sounds arise on their own. When the mind wanders, coming back into the body, the breath, contact with the ground, placing your attention in your ears and letting these sounds come to you. Just being present, being here now. Hearing the sounds of the bell, signaling the end of this practice, but noticing how you feel now, pausing as the sounds of the bells fade, pausing to notice what happened to your mind, what happened to the stories as you listen to the sounds. Often turning our attention outside brings a different kind of quiet into the body and mind. Maybe noticing what happened to your sense of self as you practiced being, non-striving. So thank you for showing up today. The homework for today is a simple question, yet needs to be asked about who, when you think about developing a meditation practice. Right now, at this point in your life, what type of person do you wish to become? Zeroing in on how your identity is connecting to your practice. And tomorrow we will be looking at how. I think when there are classes on meditation, it's usually only about the how to meditate. Of course, there's no one right way, but we're going to be looking at some different techniques and some more practical approaches of making use of supportive resources and structures to progressively grow your meditation habit. So thank you for joining me today. Congrats again to Victoria for winning the big scholarship. One more giveaway tomorrow, Circle and Bloom. Not just fertility, but some other programs are in there for stress and well-being as well. So I'll be pulling another random name from that. And yeah, don't forget anyone who I'll put some things up for Calm Mind Clear Heart. Anyone who signs up by next Monday can bring a friend or share the discount, with the second person being half off. If you have questions about anything, feel free to ask me, and I look forward to seeing your answers on who you wish to become. And I look forward to seeing you all show up tomorrow. Keep it going as best you can. Thank you.